What's up, fellow gaming lords, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Revolution. And yeah, don't be dissuaded. I know you're seeing Marvel Future Fight on the screen, but it's relevant to the topic of conversation, which is resources acquired, and new characters. Specifically, let's address something right away. This game has been out for roughly a month, and that's about it. Is that enough time for most of the people in this game to be at a level where they can start, storing resources? Not really. And I want to make a point to you guys specifically about that. So, interesting enough, I've seen some of the YouTubers start putting out videos about, starting to acquire resources and various methods of acquiring those resources and storing them for new characters potentially to come. For instance, we know Ilyana Rasputin magic is coming to us, but we don't actually have a date for that. We have a date for when, or not even a date, we have a time frame for when the invasion mode of Thanos is coming, because that was teased to us and they said that we'd probably get that in September. We've got about 9-10 days left in the month of September, so we could expect the invasion mode of Thanos to come. Now, we know Ilyana Rasputin is probably going to be the first character injected into the game. Now, the reason why I bring up Marvel Future Fight is because I want to show you guys something, because I've spoken about this ad nauseum, and I'm going to bring it up again. Currently inside the game, like Marvel Future Fight, Marvel Contest of Champions, Marvel, you name it, there is roughly 200 plus characters across the entire breadth of these games. And even in just Marvel Future Fight, we've got, I think, something like 230 characters. I've been playing this game for pretty consistently almost every day since I started playing, which was probably about a year after its launch. I want you to pay attention to my roster. My roster inside here includes a number of characters, whether they are T3, which is the top tier, Awaken, which, is probably like a tier below T3, and then tier 2 characters. There are quite a few characters inside my inventory that are tier 3 and above that I just don't have the means of leveling up because I don't have the resources available to me to level them up. For instance, Black Panther, Iron Man, Black Widow, Falcon, Spider-Man, Loki, all of these characters, Cyclops, these characters going across this list, Wolverine. I mean, I could go down this list and point out characters that could be T3'd or could be Awakened, and I don't have them yet. And I don't because I'm a pay-to-play player. I don't really whale, so I don't have enough to keep up with those. Like, even for a person like me that's able to play all of the high-end modes inside the game. Like, if you go inside my inventory inside here and we look at acquirements and things like that, I even have custom gears, which are some of the high-end gear sets inside the game, they're basically gear equips inside the game that you have to put onto characters that are at tier 3 or even below that, right? But even with regards to like cards and stuff like that, you can see I have assortment of premium cards, and if I showed you my card inside here, you would see a premium card database out. Even with materials, most people would look at my materials inventory and say, hey, you've got quite a bit of materials inside here. I've got a grip of cosmic Q fragments, which are needed to level a character up to tier 3. I even have a few Essence of Dimension and Titan component packs, which are also needed. Combat books, Titan component records or Titans records as well. But I don't have enough to just willy-nilly level up characters. I have to invest wisely in how I go about leveling up characters. I think the same is going to be said, for instance, for Marvel Future Revolution. We are going to have to play this very smartly. So, for instance, this latest update that we got for the game gave us 2 new characters. We got Winwu and we got Aquafina's character. Marvel development team on most updates outside the scope of this year has generally dropped at least 2-3 new characters inside a single update, and then maybe even a new character or a T3 or Awakening for an existing character inside of a given month. Is that going to be the method methodology that they operate with inside Marvel Future Revolution, we don't know, because all we've been told is that Ilyana Rasputin is going to be available as a playable character for us sometime soon. If you go back to the developer note, for instance, right, which is where this information basically came out to us, right? It was actually a really good dev note. I actually enjoyed the fact that they gave us this dev note, and you came inside here. They never tell you when we're gonna get these things. They just tell you that they expect some changes inside the next update. They don't tell you what. We didn't get it. So Epic Invasion, they tell you specifically that this is gonna begin 2 weeks after the new update. But we haven't had an update, and typically it is now Wednesday, I believe it is. My days are just really running together, so it's Tuesday. If we don't typically hear anything by tonight, that typically means that an update's not coming. So for instance, Marvel Future Fight just announced Luna Snow's new costume and new set, and they said that the availability for that would be 10:01. We didn't get any patch notes this morning to say that we were going to get an update tonight. Usually those mid-month patches usually happen somewhere between 11 o'clock and 3 a.m. in the morning. We haven't gotten any of that. I expect that there's going to be some delay in terms of that, because we just didn't. And I could say probably the same thing for here. So for instance, when they talked about the patch, they talked about mostly these reward improvements and things like that. So when Danny Koo and Joe Lee actually spoke about this stuff, they said the first new hero, Magic, is probably coming, but they never said that she was coming with the new update. We do know that the invasion mode and the level cap increase is going to be there. So let's talk about the level cap as well. Level cap is going to be increased. So if the level cap is going to get increased, do you believe you're going to have resources necessarily to invest in a whole new character when most people, especially free-to-play players, are just finishing out their players? Most likely not. So I would suggest, however, unless you are absolutely a fan of characters, I won't tell you guys how I approach building my characters inside the game, inside Marvel Future Fight, so that way I could keep up with the game content. And this is just kind of a note to you guys. It's going to be hard in order for you to invest in every single character that gets released. It just is. And you're not going to be able to be perfectly honest with you, especially in a game like Marvel Future Revolution. Typically what I would do is invest in a character that I know that I have extreme bond to, in terms of, like, this is a favorite character of mine. Either that, or they just show extreme potential in terms of meta defining. So that way I'm not leveling up characters that are wasteful. What I mean by that is, like, let's take a look at a character like Molecule Man, which got released inside the game. He was released and he became a tier 3 character inside the game, but he was just trash. Like, let's be honest with you, his investment cost on the character was a lot, and it just where is he? See, you can't even find this dude. Here he goes, all the way back here. He was a good kid. We all expected him to be a great character inside the game, but when he got released, it was like, yeah, he's not meta defining. There's not very much there. He's not even changing the meta at the super villain, universal character type slot. So I left him off. I'm not investing in that character because the cost of raising him up to get him to T3 is just not worth it by comparison to some of the other characters that they have released. For instance, they gave a T3 to Shang-Chi, and he was meta defining, game breaking, not game breaking, but he was meta defining. When they did the T3 finally after all these years for Doctor Doom, he was meta defining. Characters that got introduced right away, for instance, Null and Sentry were T3 on the spot, and they were meta defining characters, so it was easy enough to go, hey, I'm going to invest in those characters. Meanwhile, you had certain characters inside the game that I've invested in, like Storm, Professor X, Venom, and Carnage, that I just happen to like those characters. Even my Black Bolt and Humans, these weren't characters that were like game breaking in any shape, form, or way, but I have an affinity to those characters. Those characters are characters I grew up reading comic books about, and I really had an endearment towards those. So those were easy investments for me, because regardless of whether or not they're meta defining, they were characters that I felt invested in. So I think that comes into play when we discuss what you should be doing and what you should be looking out for in a game like Marvel Future Revolution, right? Because inside this game, we only have 8 characters to select from. And I've seen the question about rating systems and stuff like this, and I expect as content for these for things dries up around the YouTube sphere, people are going to start looking at things like that, like tier systems and things like that, to throw commentary at you. But the truth of the matter is that all of the characters currently introduced inside the game are pretty good. They're relatively balanced in various game modes. Now, I think there's some standouts and stuff like that, but it's not to say that you couldn't invest in certain characters and have them still be capable inside certain modes. I feel like the weakest character would probably be Star-Lord, but even him I'm finding fun to play as I do my Let's Play series for you guys as well. So overall, I want to show you guys something that I've done, and it's something that I'm capable of doing because I started playing early on because I was, jumped on the Canadian servers or whatever when they were doing them, and that is saving up resources. And what do I mean about this? So I was going to do a video about this before, but I kind of held off on it just because, and I'm going to just, say my piece about this right here. The one thing that's going to be hard about this game especially is that it's going to be resource acquirement and being able to rush out the gate, so to speak, right? Because this only applies to people who want to rush out the gate and get characters leveled all the way up. So bear that in mind. This is for players who want to rush out the gate and have a character from 0 to 100 day one. I think somebody in the comment sections made a note about that. Rushing out the gate isn't necessarily the way you want to play this game, because then you're just going to be bored and now you're looking for stuff and talking about states of the game and shit like that, right? Meanwhile, if you had just played the game naturally and not just bought the way to the end, you would reasonably have some stuff up there. Like, for instance, am I going to invest in Ilyana Rasputin? No, I am absolutely not. I want to show you guys something on my characters, right? So right now, as it stands, I've been playing the game 2 months since the launch event. I have leveled up Doctor Strange, Captain America, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Storm, and who else? And I'm currently in the process of leveling him up. I'm pretty high up in Black Widow, but I'm not quite there. But let me show you something. I want to make this perfectly clear to you too, because it's really interesting in the aspect of talking about saving up resources. In order to reach the level cap, which is, your requirement to get to the end game, I don't have to level up a character and fully invest in them. There is no game mode currently inside of Marvel Future Revolution that requires me to have multiple characters that I'm using at one time. For instance, if I was to pull up a game like Marvel Future Fight, right, at any time in this game, I have to rely on having a team of characters. There are game modes in this game like for instance, there's game modes in here like Alliance Conquest, which requires a full roster, a complement of my characters to use. I go inside here and I invade an area. You can see my people haven't played this at all, and I have to set a roster of all my characters. If I wanted to play timeline battle, squad battle, and so forth, all of these things rely on me having an accompaniment of characters. That doesn't exist inside Marvel Future Revolution. Every game mode inside Marvel Future Revolution requires you to use one character, to be invested in one character. Whether it's me jumping inside Blitz, Most Wanted, Special Operations, Battle Challenge, Raid, Arena modes for Omega War, Dimension Duels, Dark Zone, there is no game mode in this game that requires you to have multiple characters that are fully leveled up and 100% committed to. So you don't have to actually invest in every single character. Like if you looked at my Captain America, for instance, and you looked at his skills, I've acquired the skills that are needed for this character to be powerful in my eyes. I haven't invested in all these skills. So having resources stockpiled for gold doesn't make sense for me, right? I haven't invested anything at all. Nothing I mean, absolutely nada inside his specializations, because that's not important. Because if I go over to my squad rank, which is the thing that's going to be leveling up overall, which the game, you know, is constantly showing you, my squad info and my ranking doesn't have to do with anything about me leveling up that character specialization. It just has to do with me getting that character from 0 to 100, which is easily accomplished. The titles and me acquiring the titles inside the game, none of this has anything to do with me unlocking specializations inside here. I've got 63 out of 80 titles just from playing the game, right? If you go inside the squad training, nothing in here has anything about me unlocking all their skills, unlocking all their specializations, or anything like that, right? It's about my squad rank, and it's about getting those characters from 0 to 100. So even if they add a level cap, right, I'm going to most likely invest in my Doctor Strange before I go and invest in any new character, because I'll probably play the game as Ilyana Rasputin and get her from 0 to 100 and see how she plays through and see her skill sets. But I don't have to invest fully in this character. So there's no reason for you to start hoarding resources as a player. There just simply isn't. There's no reason that the game has given you to say, hey, you know what, you have to level up Spider-Man. And now that you're done leveling up Spider-Man from 0 to 100 and you're still committed to him being your main character, and you go through his increases in his specializations or his skills and so forth, that you can't play another character. There's absolutely nothing in this game that tells you that. There's nothing in the game that tells you that you have to hoard resources at all to invest in characters that you just want to play and get a feel for. You only have to invest in one character at this point in the game, unless they add a mode inside the game where you have to have a team of 2 or 3 characters. Then you don't have to branch out and say, I have to hoard resources in order to level up this new character. Unless for some reason you're trying to be a YouTuber and develop content and say, I got this character all the way from 0 to 100. Or you're a whale and you have the means to just pay money and be like, I've got this character all the way to 100. Or you're looking at free-to-play methods to just level a character all the way from 0 to 100, unlock everything for that character. How many people actually have all of their characters completely enhanced? Right here, you know what I mean? Like, everything is enhanced here. How many characters? Like, I'm showing you this because I just want to point out, you know, I don't have everything enhanced for other characters. Doctor Strange is the character that I have everything geared towards, and that's it. So when you look at my squad inventory, you look at my storage right here, and you see me starting to hoard 4-star, 5-star costume boxes, Omega cards, and things like that. And even inside my card storage, you're like, well, why are you not leveling these up, right? It's not because I need to have this ready for Ilyana Rasputin, because I don't plan on investing in her that way. I have this so that way when they say, hey, guess what? Thor is dropping, that now I have something for him, because that's what I'm saving it for. Ilyana Rasputin, I like the character. I think she's a pretty cool character. I think, especially on the Runaways team, but I don't have any affinity to that character. I don't have any need for that character. I might want to level her in terms of her total specializations, her potential and stuff like that, but you don't need to race that way. And nothing in this game right now has told you that you need to race that way. So all you need to be set on is enjoying the game and enjoying the main character that you have invested in. You know, so if you're playing Spider-Man, is your Spider-Man maxed out on his specializations? Like, if you look at my freaking, if we go back to my Doctor Strange, for instance, and I go inside here, right? Like, my Doctor Strange, I'm at 967,000 power. I'm enjoying the game. I'm enjoying the cycle, the loop, the game loop, the daily game loop. I'm enjoying it because I have fun doing it at this point still. And I'm still playing and having fun with that. I still play Omega War just to play Omega War. But if you look at his specializations, I don't have all my cores for this set inside here. You know, at least 5-star, I'd be happy with that. I don't have all my specializations unlocked. I've got 63 or 75. I don't even have my active slots measured out, because I don't have the resources or the means to pay to just advance my character all the way to the end. And I think a majority of players across the game, pay to play and free to play, don't have that means to drop $1,500 just to advance a character to, you know, 100 and specialization, you know, maxed out, and enhanced potential maxed out, and cores at 6-star, 5-star. So they're still playing the game right now, and in terms of just trying to get a character with a complement of, you know, all of these things unlocked. So, and like I said, the main thing, guys, to take away from the video, I'll end it here, is that there is nothing in this game right now. There is no mode in this game right now that is saying you have to divvy out resources or store up resources when you are still trying to build up a favorite character out of the first 8 characters, or maybe 2 favorite characters out of the first 8 characters. I actually have 2 characters that I really like inside this game. I love Doctor Strange, and Storm is, I love her look. If she looks like Rihanna, but I'm not invested in that way. I don't have a reason. I can jump on every day, play as Doctor Strange, and complete all the game modes with Doctor Strange. I don't need to switch out from another character and have it completely maxed out. So keep that in mind, guys, as you go. I would suggest that once you hit a certain area inside the game, meaning you've got battle badges, you've got Omega cards, like I have Omega cards here, like you've got your uniform, you know, like, okay, you know, he's got a 6-star uniform, that you start being wise about your resource spending, because yeah, then it starts to make sense to be like, okay, for instance, you know, inside my squad inventory, you can see, yeah, I've saved up, you know, 4-star, 5-star costume box. Why? Because the odds that I'm going to get the Hydra Empire set from here is relatively low. The odds that I'm going to get a 4-star card that's a special card from here is relatively low. I don't need to invest inside those things. So that's what I'm looking at right now, is the odds of me getting things from here are so relatively low that saving up these resources over here doesn't quite make sense. I'm still spending resources on the things that matter. I'm still spending resources on skill, you know, Tim's research log, which affect my whole team. I'm still, you know, there's no reason for me to do draws anymore at this point, because all I need, the only things I need to make this character special is to continue playing Raid, which only requires me to have Doctor Strange, to continue enhancing my potential, which only requires me to have Doctor Strange, right? To level up these Omega cards, which I already have in set right there, right? There's nothing in here. So don't be worried about Ilyana Rasputin, because if anything that you've noticed from the game modes, right, is that, hey, you can jump in, play another character, get them from 0 to 100, collect rewards for those characters, level them up, unlock certain things or whatever. And then, you know, that's it, because once they hit 100 and I've beat out the story and I've got all the squad rank up XP and stuff like that, I really don't have anything else I need to do with them. I really have the ability to just invest in that one character before I turn to another character. And like I said, I'm pretty sure most people are still invested in one character right now and trying to find their way to level it up. And I'm pretty sure there's multiple characters inside this first 8. Now I'm hoping, I'm hoping like a motherfucker that Thor gets dropped and they say, hey, you know what, we're gonna release Ilyana Rasputin, Thor, and Loki inside the game. And we're like, yeah, motherfucker, I'm happy as hell now, because now I'm gonna level up Thor and I'm gonna try to max him out as much as I can, and now I have 2 main characters in terms of Doctor Strange and Thor, you know, that I can switch inside that lead position. So take that stuff with a grain of salt, guys. I have seen the videos already today, people talking about hoarding resources, and for what? Are you leveling up every character, unlocking everything on every character? Take your time. It's about the journey. It's not a fucking marathon, guys. All right, till next time. Peace.